people would be denied. I don't consider a 1-800 number you're not being able to get through a glitch. I would call that success.
All right, there you go. What's the biggest glitch? Ed Schultz is the biggest glitch in any room, just about. But I'm bumped. All right, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show, ladies and gentlemen. It is Friday, and he's talking about the Obamacare snafus. If you look around the web today and you see story after story after story, no one's signing up. People can't sign up. People are going to check it out, but they're not signing up. They're not getting young people like they need to make this whole thing, quote unquote, work. It's a disaster. A disaster. You know, like Obama said on the first day, Apple rolled out a product and nobody wanted to shut them down when they had a glitch. Yeah, just like Apple. He's just like the head of Apple, and this is just like an Apple product. Absolutely right. Anyway, joining us now to discuss this whole thing and more is, for the first time on the Steve Malzberg Show, Noah Rothman, editor at Mediaite.com. Hey, Noah, how are you?
Hi, Steve. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure. Okay, let's talk about the, I guess he's legendary now, although his legend was short-lived and it's being torn apart. There's a guy named Chad Henderson, who allegedly signed up for Obamacare, and everything was great, and he got at him and his father and blah, blah. Only one problem, it appears that a lot of it isn't true.
Yeah, it appeared the biggest element of that story that he had, quote-unquote, signed up for the Obamacare exchanges wasn't the case. What happened yesterday was Chad went on his Facebook. I stumbled across it, it came on my transom, and it was this exuberant young man, 21-year-old, who had been just catapulted into the national media cycle. He was the focus of attention for major news outlets like Politico, the Washington Post, the Huffington Post, his local paper. Everybody was all over him, Wall Street Journal, because he was one of the very select few who had managed to sign up for Obamacare. He had put a post on his Facebook that said he pulled this off, and he tweeted as much. So he's one of a handful of people who joined the ranks of the group that we know these people by their first name,
right,
who were able to sign up for this program. The media was a little credulous at first. It didn't take long to find out that he was an Obama campaign volunteer, an Organizing for America volunteer, which was not reported widely, if at all. And then today we find out that after Reason Magazine called up his father, who he said also had signed up for the Obamacare exchanges, that they never signed up for anything. They had signed up to establish an account after 3 hours of trying very difficultly, getting booted off the system a couple times. They had established an account, but that's as far as it ever went. And so now the media has to kind of backtrack about creating, canonizing this character, making him this hero who had managed to be what this program really needs, was a young invincible, a healthy young man who had signed up for this program.
This is just unreal, and he, not only, but here's one of the things that shame on him for not for making this mistake. There's no way he could have registered his father, by signing up, by logging in under his own name and what. You can't register your father if you're a kid, someone that age. That would take a separate login. It would take maybe the father to do it, or separate information. Am I right?
Yeah, and that's just one more red flag that stands out to you, stands out to me, that there's obviously things that you would maybe follow up with, but the story was too perfect. They needed this character to be somebody who actually signed up for the Obamacare exchanges. They need this person. They need 12 million more like him. So they didn't ask any follow-up questions, and as a result, they're just embarrassed.
And he didn't even sign up for any coverage at all.
No. His father, to his credit, his father says he wants to. His father makes about $24,000 a year
right.
selling shaved ice in Georgia.
Right.
They need a program like this, and there is no Medicaid expansion down there. So they need this, and they will eventually sign up when they get the option to do so. But they hadn't at that particular time, and it was just a way for the media to say, see, the system works. And now it looks like an even worse disaster, because now it's proven that not only does it not work, but the media is willing to go out and not follow up really too hard in order to create the impression that the system works.
Oh, boy, it is crazy. We're talking to Noah Rothman, editor at Mediaite.com here on the Steve Malzberg Show. So are the same outlets that touted him, are they now going to print retractions or, addendums or anything?
What I've seen is the Washington Post's Wonk blog reporter Sarah Cliff, who did follow up with him and managed to get him to say, get him to say that he wasn't lying per se, but he didn't sign up for an exchange. He just created an account. And that's really as far as the retractions are going to go.
It's the meaning of is, I guess. And then there's the story that was referenced, I guess, by John Boehner when he said this isn't a damn game earlier today. He held up the Wall Street Journal. And I guess by John Boehner when he said this isn't a damn game earlier today. He held up the Wall Street Journal. And it really doesn't matter to us how long the shutdown lasts, because what matters is the end. And Jay Carney utterly, quote-unquote, utterly disavowed that. And but nonetheless, this is something that's out there.
Yeah, I don't know if they can put that genie back in the bottle. That's not good. And it's upwards of it's right there along the lines of, you had Michelle Bachmann, who was on Fox the other night, and she had said, the soundbite was that this is the happiest the party's been in a long time, something along those lines. Really kind of an impolitic thing to say. This is along those same lines, and if it gets the same amount of play, it's only going to negatively affect the Democrats in Congress and the president's situation. And as we saw from the daily tracking poll in Gallup today, it's down to 41% approval. It's dangerously low, terrifyingly low. And as a result, we've started to see a little bit of softening from the rhetoric of Harry Reid. He's beginning to say, all the Republicans are good people.
Right, he apologized on the floor of the Senate, but it didn't stop the president from responding to Boehner, who responded to this Wall Street Journal report by saying, I'll negotiate, but I'm not going to do it while the Republicans are holding a gun to the head of the American people. I mean, he's in love with this violent rhetoric. And, we shouldn't be surprised, notwithstanding what I played a little while ago before you came on, which was his at the memorial in Tucson, where he said basically he made a hypocrite of himself, because he said we have to stop this just because you disagree with somebody. The name calling has to stop. The inflammatory rhetoric has to stop. But he's been doing this since he ran in 2008, when he said, and it wasn't on tape, but it was widely reported in Philadelphia, if they bring a knife to the fight, I'll bring a gun, or we bring a gun. I mean, from that point on, that's who he is.
Yeah, and that's not going to stop because, the press isn't especially interested in holding the president to the standard that he established in 2011. The hurtful rhetoric, the martial metaphors, has been a part of politics forever. It just happened to suit a political need at the time, which was to keep conservatives in the Tea Party from really exercising their First Amendment right in a way that would excessively damage the president. But there's never been too much of an interest in actually keeping the rhetoric down from the president. As he said to John Harwood on CNBC the other day, he believes, whether he believes it or not, he says he believes that he's kept his rhetoric down, that he's been, cordial and not inflammatory.
And bending over backwards to negotiate with the Republic. I got one more for you. Let me just run this question by you. I didn't plan to, but I will. This Miriam Carey, the dental hygienist who was killed yesterday by the D.C. police in that attack. Why do you think it is we haven't heard really from, absolutely not from Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, but not from the left in the media, nobody with this scenario? She was an unarmed black woman. She had a child in the car. She wasn't out to get killed. She had no weapon. She didn't fire on anybody. They fired, they always got to count the shots. I think it was 12 or 13. 13 shots were fired at an unarmed black woman with a kid in the car, who for all we know at the time could have been lost. She didn't ram a gate. She bumped a gate. She got scared and she went away. It's open season on black women. And besides, she was profiled. They profiled that car. And I mean, how come we haven't heard any of that?
Not only that, but she was mentally ill, and she was a state employee.
Yeah, so why do you think that's a no-go?
Well, it's pretty self-evident why it's a no-go, because it doesn't fit a profile of what the media narrative should be for a victim of gun violence, or a victim of police gun violence especially, that they were targeted unfairly by the cops. I mean, the police in this instant had every reason to use lethal force because she had used her car as a weapon,
right.
And yet the police aren't coming out and saying exactly why they had opened up on her and what the case was and what her situation was. It was very odd. I thought they were really kind of recoiling from being honest about what happened, because it was totally excusable. But yeah, we're not going to hear a whole lot of this in the media because it doesn't fit a particular narrative that advances any political agenda. It's an event, a really unfortunate, tragic event.
Yeah, but
that nobody can get any political traction.
Well, do you think if this had happened under Bush, or if this had happened under Romney and it was his Secret Service, do you think that the fact that it's Barack Obama and it makes a difference?
I don't know. You're just proving a negative. Who knows? Possibly. It's entirely possible. I wouldn't put anything past the people who would be Bush's political opponents to make hay of something like that. But good for the Republicans that they're not, or for conservatives that they're not.
Oh, no. I think it would, the mantra would come from, like I said, the Al Sharptons. And you mean that they're saying that? Oh, no.
That they're not saying
yeah. No, I'm just,
if this was Bush.
In your capacity as what you do, I just wanted to run that theory by you, seeing if you agreed with me or not. Anyway, we'll never know that, but it is a tragedy that this woman wound up dead. But the cops did what they had to do because they didn't know what she had in that car. And you're right, she was using the car as a weapon. Noah, I hope you'll come back. Thanks for being on with us, sir.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Bye.
That's Noah Rothman, ladies and gentlemen, editor at Mediaite.com. What a bunch of frauds. What a bunch of frauds. So this guy worked on Obama's campaign, this Chad guy. I forgot his last name, Chad Henderson. I signed up. I signed my father up. Oh, we got great policies. No, he didn't. It's insane. It really is. All right, we're coming back. 855-777-9660 if you want to weigh in right here on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.